As I've grown older, one thing I've been told is that I will soon start feeling nostalgic for a lot of things I grew up with. And being someone who was born in the 90s, I naturally grew up with the golden age of Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, but more importantly, the 6th and 7th generations of gaming. A wondrous time where I grew to love a lot of the franchises that were spawned from both of these generations, alongside franchises from previous generations, except for one, Sonic the Hedgehog. What can you really say about this franchise that you haven't heard a billion times? Now, I'm not exactly what you would call a Sonic fan. I've bought a few of the games, I saw the Sonic movies, and I bore witness to all the disasters the Blue Blur had gone through, which isn't to say his games have not earned their merits. The original games on Genesis are wonderful classics that made Sonic a true rival to Mario. And Sonic Adventure 1 is a good game that was not the rocky transition to 3D the critics would have you believe. Although, Adventure was not my first Sonic game. Instead, I grew up with the third Sonic adventure in 3D, Sonic Heroes, released in December of 2003 for every home console of the 6th generation. And although it got mostly mixed reception, and being my first Sonic game as a kid, I loved it and held it very close to my heart. But that was back then when, again, I was a kid, and when you're a kid, your taste in games is not the most refined, and you don't have all the money in the world to buy them. So today, with the game turning 21 back in December of last year, I'm going to be revisiting Sonic Heroes to see if my love for this game still stands, or how much of an idiot I was to ask my parents for this game. It's likely going to be the former, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Beginning with the story, Sonic Heroes has 4 different teams, each with their own stories. In the story for Team Sonic, they receive a message from Eggman who states he'll conquer the world in 3 days with his ultimate weapon, and they must stop him. Team Dark involves Rouge the Bat awakening Shadow the Hedgehog, who can't remember anything, and a robot named Omega who hates Eggman for locking him up. After settling down, Rouge makes them both team up with the goal of destroying Eggman and finding his treasure. Team Rose follows Amy helping her friends Cream the Rabbit and Big the Cat find their pets who were supposedly kidnapped by Sonic, and also get him to marry her. And Team Chaotix takes a job from a mysterious client to pay rent, and that's it. None of these stories are anything complex, but they do lay out each team's goals clearly. I will say that it is funny this game takes place over the course of 3 days. I guess sleep doesn't mean crap to Sonic characters. I will also say that I was caught quite off guard by how much of an unhealthy obsession Amy had with Sonic back then. For this video, I did a complete playthrough with Team Sonic, but the other teams? I'll get to them soon. Sonic Heroes focuses on using a team of 3 characters, each with different abilities to get from point A to point B. Speed characters are the fastest and can use homing attacks to destroy Eggman's robots, along with making tornadoes that can stun them. Flight characters can fly and reach high up places, but can only fly for so long, which can lead to some scary moments. They can also use Thundershoot to stun enemies, allowing you to destroy them with your other characters. Power characters simply smash stuff up, and in the case of Team Sonic, have Knuckles say, Your characters can also level up by collecting power cores from enemies or hitting checkpoints. This can turn a flight character's Thundershoot into a destructive force and give power characters a devastating finisher to their combo. Speed characters, as far as I can tell, get a stronger homing attack and not much else. Every team also comes equipped with a Team Blast that can be earned by filling up a meter, and once full, you can pretty much destroy everything around you. My personal favorite being Team Chaotix because, well, they just do this. The team system is not just for combat. Depending on who you're playing as, you'll enter different formations, which affects several things. For example, with power characters, the team is positioned sideways, allowing you to collect horizontal rows of rings and allows your team to take paths that split into 3. Sometimes you'll need the flight formation in order to hit 3 switches that are far apart from each other. Cannons can also be found in some levels that will fire differently depending on who is the leader going into the cannon. And there are also rainbow rings you can go through that require you to be in one of the 3 formations if you want to hit all of them. The team system in short is very unique, and learning to use each character effectively makes for a fun gameplay loop that lets Heroes stand out from other 3D Sonic titles. But how does the system reflect in the areas you go through? Well, let's take a look at all 14, as the game's manual calls them, action stages with Team Sonic. You start at Seaside Hill, which is more or less Green Hill but with a beach theme. It's a level with a lot of open space that allows you to get a grip on the controls and the team system. Ocean Palace is up next, and it's here you'll learn how to use the triangle jump, which allows speed types to jump along walls, and the power type's triangle dive to ride fans. It also has two awesome set pieces where you have to travel on the backs of giant turtles and outrun giant circular rocks. Grand Metropolis is where the Lightspeed Dash comes into play, and the use of the speed character's tornado to spin on poles. And if you're playing as Team Sonic, it has one of my favorite lines in the game.
Let's find Eggman and show him the real power of teamwork.
Power Plant is a more vertical level with an intense ending section where you have to climb up to the top of an energy tank before you get submerged in said energy. Casino Park focuses on going across pinball tables and entering slot machines to earn lots of rings. I've heard some people have trouble getting off the boards, but I personally never had that much of a hard time with them, though that might be due to my experience with pinball tables in general. Bingo Highway has the same setup, but the pinball tables this time around are downhill runs with bingo chips to hit for rings. Rail Canyon, as its name implies, is all about rail grinding and learning where and when to switch between them, and that's really all I had wrote down for this. Bullet Station, in addition to having one of the best tracks in the game, has you destroying trains and jumping into cannons, literally firing yourself out of them. Definitely the best set piece in the game. Frog Forest in Lost Jungle revolves around the most unique mechanic in the game, frogs that can cause it to rain, with green ones summoning rain that grows plants, and the black ones summoning rain that kills them, meaning you have to be careful not to step within their activation range. Lost Jungle also has a terrifying chase with an alligator near the end of the level, which I'm sure scared a few people. Hang Castle has you utilizing switches that can change the gravity of the level, and it's the only level in the game that has two different music tracks, which is a neat touch. Mystic Mansion, my favorite stage in the whole game, is about going deeper and deeper into the castle's interior to find a way out, having 3 trials at the end that test how well you know the 3 character types. I do remember having trouble with Sonic's trial, since I didn't really know how to use the homing attack properly off the ghost, but these days it is not a problem for me. This then brings us to the Egg Fleet, and it's awesome in terms of setting and spectacle, racing across Eggman's fleet of battleships and destroying the big ones with the speed type's Rocket Excel. Lastly is Final Fortress, which is the longest level in the game, at least for Team Sonic, due to being filled to the brim with combat sections against Egg Hammer bots, one of the toughest enemies in the game alongside these robots. I don't know what they're called. I will say though, when you homing attack them, it looks like Sonic is throwing a fit. At least there's a pretty cool section at the end where you have to dodge a bunch of lasers and then a big laser before the goal ring. Fantastic way to cap off the stage before the final boss. Speaking of which, the bosses are not all that great. You'll notice immediately they follow a pattern. You fight an Eggman machine first, then you fight another team second, and then you have to face a horde of those Eggman's robots third. Long story short, they're extremely easy. Most of these battles can just be won by spamming, with the only one I had trouble with being the Egg Emperor because I couldn't figure out how to destroy the shield and had to rely on team blasts. But despite the weak bosses, I personally think the stage selection in Sonic Heroes is great, and they visually still look beautiful even to this day, and the music for them is awesome. Then again, this is a Sonic game, so that goes without saying. However, I'm sure if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that the Seaside Hill footage with each team looks almost the same. This brings me to one of the biggest problems with Sonic Heroes. All 4 teams must run through the same 14 stages and 7 boss fights as one of the requirements to access the final story. Now, granted, with the boss fights for Metropolis and Frog Forest, you have to fight different teams depending on which one you've picked, but aside from some slight changes, you're still running through the same stages. By the end of the first story, you'll probably be burned out. And you won't be happy to hear that you have to do the other 3 teams. Team Dark stages are more or less the same as Team Sonic's, but with only tiny changes that are, like I said, negligible. Team Rose is probably the least terrible of the other teams to do, with their stages being so short, you could probably finish their campaign in one sitting. But the worst offender of all is Team Chaotix. The deal with them is that their stages are mission-based, and they mostly revolve around collecting or destroying a certain amount of things. The problem with this is that you're gonna need to comb through each stage like you have OCD, and I probably don't need to tell you about their infamous Mystic Mansion mission where you have to blow out torches. It's honestly a damn shame because I like Team Chaotix's characters, but I don't like them enough to suffer through their stages. And, truth be told, these repeat playthroughs wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the fact the sensitive controls can make things difficult, especially with speed characters when they can go from 0 to 60 in seconds. This makes sections where you don't have a lot of ground terrifying, and make you have to go with a much slower flight and power characters just so you don't fall off. Not to mention, this game is also quite janky. I never noticed it as a kid, but man, coming back to it, Sonic Heroes is one of the jankiest games I've ever played. To give you some examples, in Casino Park, whenever I switched to another character, instead of them coming to me, I would instead switch to the area where the character is, causing all the other characters to move where they are. There's also this bit in Lost Jungle where I failed to get up to where the black frog is, and I was forced to take the Lightspeed Dash route where Sonic only took one ring and then fell to his death. And this was the only time I had this happen with the Lightspeed Dash. Then I had this happen in Final Fortress where Knuckles just went up like, what the hell? While some of it is funny, oftentimes it can kill what could have been an A rank, as losing your life sets your score back to 0, which can really sting and make or break your enjoyment with Sonic Heroes, especially if you intend to get the A ranks. It's also especially a nightmare when you need to collect the keys, which are important for fulfilling the second requirement you need to access the final story, and that is the special stages for the 7 Chaos Emeralds. If you manage to bring the key all the way to the goal in the second act of each area, you'll earn the chance to collect a Chaos Emerald. And I've heard these stages are horrible, but to be honest, I don't think they're as bad as others made them out to be. As long as you keep holding down the B button, you'll be able to catch the emerald 10 seconds tops. Hell, I was able to get 2 Chaos Emeralds with Team Sonic when Team Rose can get to those stages easier due to their shorter length, but even then, the jank will make it frustrating to catch up with the emerald. These issues, as a result, turns Heroes into a game that's better played through in bursts, or just play with Team Sonic and no one else because trying to play each team back to back is only going to leave you frustrated. The only thing that takes the pain out of all of this are the cutscenes and quotes that are extremely cheesy, and I love every minute of it.
Marriage? No way!
Don't get too excited, boys! Those were the easy ones!
Warning, immediate destruction if distracted.
They're pulling out all the tricks. Didn't you know? We have a date with Eggman too.
Is that so? Well then, it'll be a date to die for.
Maybe that's the ghost of Shadow we saw earlier.
Woo! Stop it, Knuckles!
But despite all of this, surely the final story's worth all of this pain, right? Well, honestly, yes and no. In the ending for Team Chaotix, it's revealed that their client was Eggman, who tells them that the real culprit was actually Metal Sonic, who we see earlier in the game. By this point, he has all the data of Sonic & Company, and with it he transforms into a giant metal monstrosity, which brings us to a boss fight that has us using Team Dark, Rose, and Chaotix to buy Team Sonic some time to go super. And by go super, I mean just Sonic goes super. And despite the spectacle of fighting across the stormy sky, the fight is very simple. You use Team Blast a few times and you win. The final story of Sonic Heroes as a whole is underwhelming in terms of gameplay, but I'll be honest, it's worth it just to hear this.
Because we're Sonic Heroes. We're Sonic Heroes! What goes up?
After that, there's not much else to do aside from doing each team's extra mission, which are honestly nothing special. While each team does get a unique mission, it's not enough to try them for A ranks, and considering Team Chaotix is just doing the same mission you do for the regular mission but with more things to collect, no f***ing thank you. Which is unfortunate because clearing missions earns you emblems that unlock 2-player modes, and I remember having a lot of fun playing against my older brother in 2-player. Granted, most of them are racing modes, but it still sucks that they're locked behind high emblem requirements. But to answer the question at the start of the video, Do I still love Sonic Heroes? Honestly, hell yeah, I still love this game. Despite being more aware of the game's issues, I still came out of this experience with a smile on my face. I know a lot of people won't feel the same way I do with Heroes, but as a non-Sonic fan, I think Beneath the Rough Exterior is a Sonic game that can be just as good as the adventure games. With its unique gameplay, amazing soundtrack, and cheesy dialogue I still quote to this very day. You might tell me that I say all this about Sonic Heroes because it's my first Sonic game, but honestly, compared to some of Sonic's later titles, I wouldn't have it any other way. And with that said, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified when a video is uploaded. I am the toasty dude named Thomas, saying thank you for watching, and until next time, have a good one.